You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build the social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. I'm your host, Ashley Shaw, and we are going to have some fun today diving into what to post to not sound like a broken record. One of the biggest fears that most network marketers have when they think about running a business, primarily using social media. I would even say that most entrepreneurs who have an online business also really struggle with this. And I think there are three main mistakes that you may be making if you feel like you might be sounding like a broken record. So the first mistake is that you tend to post the same things over and over and over again. So you probably know you're making this mistake if you sit down to post and you sort of get a bit anxious and you end up sort of writing, similar things over and over again. The second mistake is that you actually don't have a strategy. So in what I've just said, you sit down to post and you're just trying to come up with it on the spot. So there's nothing really linking together your messaging or what you're talking about. So therefore you default to just talking about the same thing over and over and over again. The third mistake would be just using social to sell. The thing about social media is that it's actually built for something different than sales. It's not meant to just be a sales machine that churns prospects into customers. What social media is really about is building likability, trust, and rapport, and people actually being able to find each other on this platform. So if you feel like a lot of your posts are constant calls to action with no value built in, then that's definitely a mistake that you're making. And there's so much opportunity on the other side where you can actually come out with a solid strategy and be using your social media as a magnet to attract people versus something that is turning people off. That is what we're going to be diving into today. Exactly what you need to do to get your social media bringing people in, attracting people instead of feeling like you're saying the same things, you're just selling. And when you sit down to post, you have no sweet clue what you're actually going to post about. Now that we understand that social media is meant to build likability, trust, and rapport, let's just talk about the sales process for a second. The sales process is not just something that, when we used to sell gym memberships back in the day when I worked in the gym, people don't just walk by the gym and decide to come in and just buy a membership. That's not how it works. What happens is that person, before they even walk by the gym, they have this thought, and it could be something like they try on a pair of their pants, they're a little bit snug, and plants this idea in their head that maybe I should do something about this. They think about it, they go through these stages of change, and then in their peripherals, they've sort of walked by this gym many times, but they decide to turn right in when they walk by it because the seed earlier has been planted that this may be a good idea, and they're ready for that stage of change. This is not much different when we think about social media, because somebody doesn't just come across you and they're like, Ashley Shaw, let me give you my credit card number, when they have never thought about building a solid business on social media, if they haven't ever felt like, oh man, I'm spending so much time scrolling, looking at other people's profiles, I'm coming out defeated, not feeling great about my strategy, I'm just copying what other people are doing, doesn't feel authentic to me, and it's definitely not working. They have to have that thought and that process those ideas before they're ever going to actually stop on what I'm putting out there and I'm posting. And the thing is, most people are not as problem aware as we think they are. So what I mean by that is the problem needs to be agitated, or it needs to be made known that that problem exists and you solve that problem. When we think about this gym example of walking by the gym, someone definitely has to be aware that they are looking for you. It can happen on their own, but it's really important that that's why you don't only want to post about fitness stuff. You need to be like a multi-trick pony. You can't just post about fitness stuff and trying to sell people. You need to make sure that what you are actually posting is based on your values, because you don't want to attract people that are not your people. This is like a recipe for disaster. So I want you to picture this for a second. Think of like the person that you really don't like to work with. I would say for me, in my past as a personal trainer, I used to have people that would make a lot of excuses or wouldn't be truthful about certain things, like what they were eating. And it was hard to like really, really help anyone if you didn't have the full story, or not being truthful about, the times they worked out or what you're, following the plan, those sort of things. So I don't want to attract people that, for example, say they're going to follow a strategy and then don't, and then are like, why? Well, it's not working. It's like, well, you got to follow the plan and you at least got to show up. Like, if you can't do that, I can't help you. I don't want to attract, that type of person. So I need to make that very clear in what I'm putting out there on social media, that I am looking for a person that goes all in. Like, if you actually want to go all in and you're willing to pull away the limiting beliefs, you're willing to put yourself out there and just do what I tell you to do, then I want you. But if you're not, and you're on the fence, it's going to be a waste of both of our time. The more clear you are on what you actually want, the better you're going to be able to attract that ideal customer that's actually going to take action. Because that's something else I hear all the time from coaches, is they want people that want to take action. They want people that want to work the business and go all in. Because why would you want to waste your time with people that don't? Your posts have to contain your values. The other reason your values are so important is that if somebody is not in the stage of change where they're ready to change their fitness and their lifestyle, you better have other things in common. Most of the time, especially when we're on social media, because it's not a selling platform, it's really meant for enjoyment and entertainment, you have to have different categories that you post about. Maybe your ideal customer is a family-oriented person and they have kids. So you want to have posts that talk about those types of things so that you can build that trust, likability, and rapport. If you don't do that, there's not a hope that you're going to sell them something in the future, because people only do business with those that they know, like, and trust. And it goes in that order, right? Someone has to get to know you. They have to like you and then trust you enough to pull out their credit card. This is where sometimes you'll see people posting and they're like, oh, like, I'm not getting any likes or engagement. Well, you may have a big group of people right now that are just trying to get to know you. And then if you add on top of it this inconsistency, you're like, well, I'm not seeing engagement, so I guess I'm just not going to show up. No one cares anyway. You're never going to move that person from no to like. So realize that a lot of the people that you're actually trying to connect with are lurking. They're lurking, they're watching. They're the ones that maybe don't actually pipe up and say anything. Like, think about your own journey. How long did it take for you to actually become a coach? Like, if we think about Ashley Molstad, for example, she was looking for a way to lose some weight before her wedding. It was 2 years before she actually jumped in. So just know that people are reading your posts. They are reading what you put out there. Don't base whether you think your social media is working or not completely on if you're getting engagement or not. We talked about making sure that you are speaking to your ideal customer and that you are posting on your values. So we've talked about maybe your ideal customer is somebody that has a family. Maybe they are somebody that wants to quit their 9 to 5. Maybe they are somebody that loves to travel. Maybe there's somebody that runs Airbnbs. There's many different values. You really want to think about what are the things that appeal to you, because that's going to appeal to that ideal customer if they are like-minded. The other thing that you absolutely need to get good at, besides having your values in tune and making sure you're speaking to those things, is you have to get really good at what's called breadcrumbing. Anybody without any polish can put out a post that's like, hey, I have this group opening. You should join me. Drop a comment below. But if you do that over and over and over again, people are going to get sick of that super, super fast. And they're not going to come to you anymore because you're not serving up any value. There's two things that you need to do here. One is that your audience size is always going to be linked to the value that you are providing. So I want you to look back at your last 9 posts. How many things did you teach? How much entertainment did you provide? And would people actually come to you to learn something that they didn't already know? It's a direct correlation that you need to be teaching and educating and providing stuff that's funny, stuff that's relatable to your audience in order for them to want to come back to you. Because if you're just constantly selling them, they're definitely going to unfollow you and they're definitely not going to be excited to see your content. Obviously, a waste of time when social media is not super easy, right? It takes time to put into it and to come up with what you're going to post. That is super important. If there's one thing you take from this episode, it is that the size of your audience is directly correlated to how much value you provide. The second piece here is when it comes to breadcrumbing. As I said, it's easy to just put out a call to action post and say, hey, join me. What you've got to get really good at is looking at your posts and being able to make this connection to the bigger picture. All of your ideal customers actually have limiting beliefs. There's things that are holding them back from taking action. The better you know what those things are, the more that you can weave that into your story and breadcrumb what's coming up that they may be interested in. If you've ever noticed, whenever you look at a newspaper or magazine articles, they're super good at having this hook that makes you want to open and read more. That is what I would consider a good way to learn how to do sort of these breadcrumbs so they want to learn more. And if you can hook them in by leaving a trail of breadcrumbs, then they're definitely going to be more interested in what you have coming up that serves value. Maybe that's a free group. Maybe that's a lead magnet you have. You're definitely going to get way more action on that. But also it keeps their attention because naturally human beings want to get the answers to problems they're trying to solve. So the more that you can incorporate that, the more that your mind sort of takes over. One thing that you can do here is think about whenever your curiosity is piqued. So think about when you're watching a Netflix show and the preview is just so good, it's so irresistible that you have to watch it. Or when you open a magazine, like let's say People magazine or something, you see it at the checkout stands and you think, I have to open that magazine because I need to know what article that is, and I need to know how that ends. We are suckers for curiosity. So the more that you can pay attention to what gets your curiosity, the more that you're going to get better and better and better at this. The before picture for you may be that you are feeling like you sound like a broken record because you have no strategy. You're always selling. And when you sit down to write a post, you're like, okay, what's on my mind right now? I'm going to write about it. The after is that when you combine these things, when you combine your values, when you combine providing values, learning how to use hooks and breadcrumbs, then you're able to put together a much more engaging strategy from the perspective of the person reading your posts, and they'll actually want to learn more about what you have going on because they know, like, and trust you. And this is absolutely the secret sauce to bringing your social media game up and actually having social media bring people to you and attract people to you. I hope this episode was super helpful for you. I wanted to keep it really short and sweet because sounding like a broken record is super annoying, but the solution can be really simple when you have a strategy in place. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Social Selling Simplified. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably looking for ways to grow a successful health and fitness coaching biz. Did you know that every successful Beachbody coach you've heard of has a formula they follow for growing their biz on social media? Most people start out with no idea what to do. They end up annoying their friends and family with obnoxious posts and messages. Then they stop altogether because it's not working. Look, it's definitely not your fault. You were probably told this was your fast track to your dream job and that it was easy. But just like your fitness journey, when is anything successful without an exact plan? Now, imagine having that plan totally laid out for you every single month. Then picture people reaching out to you, asking for your help with their health and financial goals. This is what a proven system does. I have it all ready for you. And because I want to make sure I provide the best experience to all my people, this opportunity isn't available very often. To get all the deets about my social posting strategy membership, just go to ashleyshaw.ca/membership. Go now because the membership closes on Sunday, July 18th at midnight Eastern Time. That's ashleyshaw.ca/membership. Thanks for taking the time to level up today. If you're ready to commit to personal and professional growth, move forward, make money, and grow your health and fitness business, head to my free community on Facebook, Business Bootcamp for Fitness Coaches, so I can support you every step along the way. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you right back here next week on Social Selling Simplified.